Until a week ago, you were doing as few interviews as possible. Then you've done an onslaught of interviews, mostly with friendly outlets, journalists, podcasts, etc., because you finally realise, oh my God, people don't know who I am, because for all my time, nearly 4 years as Vice President, I've done 4/5 of bugger all. You've hidden away. Now you're complaining that Trump's doing the same thing. Quite bizarre. But then she goes on to say that Donald Trump, if he disagrees with you, is going to get the military to come and round you up and put you some sort of internment camp or something.
He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. It's a serious issue. He is saying that he would use the military to go after them. Think about this.
I mean, please, is that the most pathetic attempt you have heard at having a go at your opponent? And look, in typical Kamala style, she goes back to the weird cackling and stuff to talk about the debate. Yes, the best she can come up with to attack Donald Trump is not anything he's done in the last couple of weeks. It's the debate that was the better part of a month ago.
You guys watched the debate. Right. He has, quote, concepts of a plan. Concepts.
I mean, please, Mariah Carey, take it away.
Why you so obsessed with me? Boy, I wanna know.
I mean, once again, she's hardly pulling her best out here, is she? Please.
I think that was her best. But the reason for that obsessed grab, by the way, is did you talk about anything else at this rally in Pennsylvania? This is the queen of the swing states. Last election, Biden won it by 1.1% margin. The election before that, Trump won it by 0.7%. That is how tiny the margin is in Pennsylvania. It swings here, it swings there. It's one of those states that everyone knows is a real election decider. If you can get Pennsylvania, you're probably going to get the presidency. But all she did, seemingly, was talk about Donald Trump the entire time. Talk about your own policies, lady. Talk about your own vision for the future. And in those first two clips where she's accusing Trump of being weak and unstable and they're hiding him away, he's been so visible in the campaign trail even before he declared that he was running for the presidency. It's not funny. He hasn't stopped being in our headlines. He hasn't stopped with boots on the ground. The Trump campaign has been working tirelessly, and then saying, oh, he's going to weaponize the military to round up dissidents. What? Like you've weaponized the justice system in America to try to take out your opponents. It was Karl Marx who once said, accuse your opponent of doing exactly what you're doing while you're doing it to create confusion. And we all know Kamala's dad was a professor who taught Marxism. So I'd say she's taken a leaf out of Dad's book and said, well, actually, I'm going to employ that very strategy.
The other thing I just don't understand about all of this is when she's saying that, you know, if you disagree with Trump and he wins, he's going to round everybody up and put them all in camps. Haven't we just had a third assassination attempt on Donald Trump? And when you start saying that if you disagree with Trump, he's going to round everybody up, are you not just inciting a fourth attempt? It's completely irresponsible. And how dumb do they think voters are that anyone would actually believe that that would happen? And the reason Kamala Harris doesn't talk about policies is because she doesn't actually have any, or at least the one she has, she's plagiarised from Trump himself. It was Trump who came up with the idea of removing taxes from tips. Kamala Harris now has adopted that policy. It was Trump who came up with a child tax credit of $5,000. Kamala then announced a child tax credit of $6,000. And of course, it was Trump who wanted to build a wall. And now Kamala claims that she will build a wall. But it's not just policies that she's plagiarising. She's also plagiarising other people's writing. Her 2009 book, Smart on Crime, which details her great successes and her philosophy as a prosecutor, contains large chunks lifted not just from other authors, but even lifted from Wikipedia. JD Vance called her out. Have a listen.
I saw today, actually, a story that Kamala Harris apparently copied some significant chunks of her book from Wikipedia. So if you want a president with their own ideas, vote for Donald Trump. If you want a president who copies her own ideas from Wikipedia, vote for Kamala Harris.
Now, I should point out, Caleb and Liz, Kamala Harris has said she will respond to those allegations as soon as her team loads somebody else's words into her teleprompter.
Look, it's true that if this woman had an independent thought, it would die of loneliness. Because this is what she does, right? She can do very well as long as she's reading from a teleprompter, much like Joe Biden, actually. So no change there. But here's some of the read receipts that people have dug out. In the left-hand column, you see there her book, an excerpt from her book. And on the right hand, you see where she got it from. In many cases, it is word for word. And she's accused of doing this in at least 12 sections of her book. Now, the New York Times, typically being the New York Times, went into damage control mode and tried to frame this as just nasty right-wing people coming out baying for Kamala Harris's blood. Their headline read, "Conservative activist seizes on passages from Harris's book." I mean, by the sound of that, you'd just think that someone was, going after her unnecessarily. But the read receipts on this are absolutely inarguable. These are copy-paste instances of plagiarism. And I love that JD Vance has brought this into the international spotlight, because while Chris Rufo, I believe his name is, had tried to get this out, he was just being attacked by the mainstream media for pointing it out. Someone like JD Vance says it, and all of a sudden it's thrust into the international spotlight.
I have to say, though, I'd rather she'd be plagiarising than using whatever weird ideas her brain could come up with. Like, for heaven, we know that she can barely think or talk straight. I want someone else to be feeding her ideas and her to be copying them. Can you imagine what the United States would look like if she did what she's actually got going on up there?